All right, fantastic. Hi, I am Tim Heyman. I am here to interview both of my parents, and right now I am at Interlakes Junior Senior High School in Meredith, New Hampshire. Can you take a second and introduce yourselves?
Ed Heyman. I'm living in Hanover, New Hampshire right now.
And I think we lost the sound on mom there for a second. So I don't know. Use your teacher voice. What we learned right here is that when you're using the Connect app, that it will record one voice at a time, unless each person has their own separate microphone. This would go on to plague this interview for the next 30 minutes.
Oh,
There it is. All right, so let's start basic. Can you each tell me where you grew up?
I was born in Pawtucket, Rhode Island in 1943, and I spent the first 20 years in Pawtucket, and then I was drafted and ended up in California for 20 years.
That is a big shift. What about you, Mom?
I was born in East LA, California.
So the sound issue continues, so we're going to cut ahead a little bit. But the thing that I would have you notice in this moment is the leading questions, open-ended, real basic questions to get the conversation started. It's square to you.
Oh, okay.
It's like a
Better?
parabola. Yeah, you're in the parabola now.
Haven't heard that word in years. Okay. Start all over. All right. I was born in East Los Angeles, and I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, and spent my first 38 years in California.
So at the risk of recapping a Tom Petty song, what was it like to grow up in Southern California?
Oh, free falling. It's too easy. I didn't even have a coat when we moved here.
What were you like in middle school and high school?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Shy, just painfully shy. And did all the things that Valley kids did then.
Like what?
Walking to the movies. We walked everywhere, which is not what you think of in Southern California, walking anywhere. But it was flat, and we had one car and a mother that didn't drive. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, my mom didn't learn how to drive till I was a senior in high school.
And so did you have a driver's license before she did?
I was forced to get a driver's license. So it was a tie.
Okay. And then I have a vague memory of that you and John used to share a car somehow.
Oh, we shared a 1962 Beetle Volkswagen before they had gas gauges. And he used to run it out of gas, and I get in it and not look at the dial on the floor and have to flip it. So I got great pleasure calling him to come and get me.
Fantastic. All right, Dad, what about you? When you were growing up, what was it like growing up in Pawtucket?
I went to a Catholic elementary school, 1 through 9, and we had to walk there, and it was uphill both ways,
Naturally.
as they always say, in the snow. It was nice because it was a co-ed school, and I was a very bad student, but I finally made it into high school, which was across town. And over there, I was the first one in my family, so I decided I should buckle down and start to study. And I did pretty well. It was a nice high school. Again, was all boys, and that was a big change from elementary school. And we had to take a bus across town to get there, and that's how I met some of my best friends. So high school was good. I enjoyed everything. I enjoyed sports. Got to learn how to swim and joined the swim team. Did cross country and track. So it was.
Now, the trouble that we're experiencing here is dividing time between two interviewees. Because here, my dad opened up a door to a slew of follow-up questions that I ultimately put to the side for the sake of time. He opened it up to the door talking about two schools, co-ed versus boys. He talked about making friends on a bus, and he talked about sports. Each of those was an inroad that demanded a follow-up question that I ultimately ignored.
Fun.
Outstanding. Now, you said you were the first one going to high school. What about your older brother?
My older brother went to the seminary, so he didn't go into the same school system as I did. 2 years before me, he left off of high school and he did that in the local seminary. And so I was the first one to branch out. My sister went to another Catholic high school down in South Rhode Island. So I was the first one into this St. Raphael's Academy. So no one knew who I was. It was good. I was anonymous.
So I'll ask you first, and then I'll ask Mom this question. When you were in middle school or high school, did you have any idea what you wanted to do as you grew up?
We all in the ninth grade had to put together a career book, what we wanted to do when we grew up. And I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to be in the Air Force. So that was my big ambition in ninth grade. Never happened. See, I'm afraid of heights. That did disqualify me.
I could see how that would get in the way.
I would get in the way. So that was my ambition then, but that was just a pie in the sky type ambition. And when I was in high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do.
Mom, what about you? What did you want to be?
I knew I was going to be a nurse.
How?
My dear aunt, Mary Louise, was a nurse. And also at that time, we grew up with stay-at-home moms. And careers for women weren't even an idea. So you would be a teacher, a secretary, or a nurse.
Oh.
Yeah, or there's other options that aren't as nice. So I just took a straight path to nursing.
And then so you went right into nursing school right out of high school?
Yes.
And in Southern California, there must have been several nursing schools to choose from. How did you choose where to go?
Recommendations from nurses I knew, and I could have gone to UCLA, but at that time, nursing programs weren't as well professionalized, and they didn't have as many degree programs. So I went straight to a hospital school that was associated with Loyola Marymount in Los Angeles, and spent 3 years there, and it was great. I mean, it was hard because there was only 2 Protestants in my class. And so I learned more than I signed up for, which has served me well.
So if we can rotate the laptop to face you a little bit more, what are some of the things that you learned that served you well?
Well, I was raised in a very liberal Protestant household, and I was shocked at the things that I learned going to Catholic school. The nuns were as advertised. And the hospital at St. Vincent's, it's not there anymore, was built in the 1920s and with lots of money, and they had suites and celebrities. And so it was an adventure. I mean, one day I bumped into Lloyd Bridges, and I had a tray of medicines, and I spilled them. And he just got down on his knees with me and cleaned it up. It was so nice. Got a fan for life.
Absolutely. From the school days, are there lessons or things that you are ingrained in you now, or that you carry with you since then?
The nursing school?
Yes, the nursing school.
Well, you know, I'm a compulsive cleaner. And I respect people's privacy, which is why I don't participate in Facebook.
Fair enough.
Stuff like that.
Gotcha. And so to go from Loyola or St. Vincent's, then to your next hospital, that was Cedar-Sinai, right?
No, it was Children's Hospital in LA. And nurses tend to go where they were happiest as a student. And I was happy with the kids. Plus, children do better. Most of them go home.
Yeah.
Uh, and also, a child in a bed is easier to handle than a child running around.
Fair.
We know one.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So I was at Children's for, well, you were born when I was working at Children's. Then I went to Cedars-Sinai and got pretty good Jewish education, which has also served me well.
How so?
Oh, it's just different. It's the basic similar foundations, but there were other rules to learn. Like, you have to hide the horror when they say, what, you're going to circumcise that baby? He's sick. That kind of stuff. And then after Cedars-Sinai, we moved to San Diego County. And that's when I worked in a military academy school, which also was a mind-opening experience. Most of the staff there were gunnery sergeants that had retired, and they treated the boys like little adults, and we had a few disagreements.
I can only begin to imagine.
Well, the boys, one example, the punishment never fit the crime. Instead of the academy was on the beach in Carlsbad, and when the boys would break whatever rule it was, they, instead of taking a surfboard and the wetsuits away from them, they had them march back and forth in front of the guardhouse. So then the boys would go to their rooms and they'd cut their toenails so short that they'd get ingrown toenails. And they'd come see me. So, it's still there.
How did you meet Dad?
Dad was a Marine, and he had weekends off, and he went to Newport and Balboa Beach. And I went with some friends in the shared Volkswagen we talked about with 3 friends. And that's where we met. I had a big fat book, and he thought I don't know what he thought.
Well, I don't know. Can I ask him what did you think of Mom? Like, how did you meet Mom? Yeah, there you go.
And we were just walking along the beach, and we saw these 2 girls, reading books on the beach, and we were just Marines doing what Marines do. So we started a conversation and asked about the book, I guess, and we started talking, and she wanted to know where we were from and all that. So we got to know each other, and it just turned out we had a nice relationship. So.
Oh. Going to Mass was part of it.
I missed pretty much all of that.
Well, it was Saturday, and I was still doing.
I thought it was Catholic.
Going to you went to a Catholic school, so I put 2 and 2 together. Said, "You want to go to Mass tomorrow morning?" And she says, "No."
I did not.
But I did.
Hang on, you have to angle the screen down just a little bit. I'm getting only half the conversation.
Okay. So
basically you saw what you presumed to be a good Catholic girl.
Yes.
And tried your one Catholic move and asked her to Mass.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And then got rejected.
Oh yeah, but we spent the rest of that Sunday on the beach together, so that was nice. And so we parted, and I went back to El Toro, which is the Marine Corps Air Corps base there in Orange County. And I thought, I'd like to see that woman again. So I gave her a phone call, and she says, come on and visit me. And so she says she was in the San Fernando Valley, and I was from Pawtucket, remember? I had no idea where anything was in California. And so I was lucky enough to be standing at the front gate with my thumb out when this officer came by and said, "Where you going, Marine?" I told him the San Fernando Valley. He says, "Oh, I'm going there too. Hop in." And off I went. And that was it. he dropped me off on the corner in the valley, and I gave Carrie a call on a real phone, no cell phones. And she came and picked me up, and we spent the weekend together. Got to meet her parents, and I thought, wow, I'm impressed. This place is really nice. It was a condo. We went in there, the fireplace was blazing, and there was air conditioning, and it was just like, what a
So there's a fireplace going and the air conditioning is on.
yes.
You must have really thought these people were truly decadent.
Must have lots of money. So anyway, they were really nice, and they took good care of us. And that was the weekend. They drove me back down to L.A., and I hopped the bus back to the base, and we started dating on weekends.
Now, where did the Vietnam War fit into all of this?
Right there.
Then in San Francisco, and I went down to see your mom in L.A. as soon as I got out of the Corps.
So when you say as soon as you got out, like literally as soon as you got out, or?
No, I had to be discharged from Parris Island, so I had to go back to the East Coast. So I tried to get discharged from the West Coast, but there was no doing it. So I had to fly back home, first to Pawtucket, and then down to Parris Island. And then I got to Parris Island just in time to get out after my 2 years were up. So, but I spent an extra weekend there because I was owed a lot of money, and I wasn't going to go home without my money. So I went back, got my money, went to Pawtucket, bought a car, and drove out to California. And my mother says, you can't go by yourself, so she came along.
So then what happened? So you're driving across the country, and then what? You end up.
We went to California. We I don't remember where we stayed, but yeah. So, anyways, that was it. And my mom flew home, and I stayed in California, and eventually got married.
So let me recount some of this. You enlist in the Marines.
Yes.
You meet mom. You go to Vietnam. You come back from Vietnam. You take a long shower for a couple days. Go back to Pawtucket, buy a car, but your mom doesn't let you drive cross country by yourself. The Marine that just came back from Vietnam. And then you go and meet my mom. And then get married. At that point, everything is, so who's in control here? The Marines or your mom?
To be fair, your grandmother had a sister in Long Beach.
Yes.
So there was something.
And my mother had never been across the country like that. Though she had been to Europe because my brother was ordained in Europe. So she actually made that trip, but going to California was something new and different for her. As you know, most of your relatives haven't left the state of Rhode Island in their lifetime. So,
yeah, David. I think David is working for the Chamber of Commerce, the Rhode Island Chamber of Commerce, because he keeps trying to lure us in there.
That's it. So yes, it's very funny. So anyway, that's the story as I remember it.
And then shortly thereafter, after you were married, some number of years, I met you, and then you ultimately met me. And then I'm wondering how that your work life, how that was influenced.
I always tell the story. When you get out of the Marine Corps, and you're looking for a job in LA. Only thing they were willing to offer you is police work. And I did not want to be a policeman and have to carry a gun. So one day I saw an ad for the University of Southern California looking for somebody to be a technician in their laboratory. And I went down and I applied, and I was lucky enough to get the job. And it was great because I did have a degree in biology, but I wasn't a very good biologist at that time. And so as a technician, you get to do all the things that you should have done in college make solutions and learn how to run their equipment and things like that, plan experiments. So I was able to spend 2 years as a technician and got to know the professors and the whole staff. And one day I asked the chairman of the department if I could apply. And he said, yes, you can apply for graduate school. And I did. And I was lucky enough to pass my graduate exams, and I got in. But the funny thing was, I had a handwritten acceptance letter saying that if I did okay in my first semester, I would be, fully qualified to go on. But if I didn't get a B average, I was going to be kicked out. So I understood that and did well.
A number of times in your story, you've talked about how you were lucky to go to school, or lucky to get in, or lucky to do something. Is that an actual theme in your life?
Lucky because I was never a very good student to start with. I didn't know how to study. And when you don't know how to study, you're lucky enough to get a B grade. You're really happy. But then as I got older, when I was in my junior year in college, I started to be really conscientious about what I was reading, what I was doing. So I became a much better student. Went from a C or D to A's and B's, and that really helped. And so when I was back in graduate school, I had that same mentality. I was lucky to get accepted because I had a very poor grade point to go into graduate school. But once I was in graduate school, I was fine.
Is that why you were always hard on me as a student?
No comment. Maybe so. Yeah.
Rotate the screen.
There's never a plan for any of this. He just would fall into, oh, maybe I can do this. And then it kept getting better.
Really?
Yes, because when I was applying for graduate school, there was a new program called cellular molecular biology. And I was one of the first students into that program. And if you look around the world, cellular molecular biology is running everything. So I was lucky enough to be on the ground floor and got to be in a great lab. And that was really worked out really well for me.
So in looking at what you just said, if we are looking around the world right now, cellular and molecular biology is a guiding factor as far as in virology as well.
Yes. All the vaccines now were made with genetic techniques. So hopefully we'll have them out to the public within the next few months. Completely new technology.
With two people that have worked in the healthcare field and in biology, if I were to talk to students, what would you want me to relay to them as far as what to expect, or what to know, or what to hope for, or what to believe?
I'm thinking nursing is kind of a shock. You have to work nights, weekends, holidays. So it's a lifelong no big whoop for me to miss a holiday. I'll celebrate it some other time. It is just great being able to be there for people and the family, especially in pediatrics. You have the whole family. And I can still recall many children and their parents. It's just, if it's right for you, it just feels so good.
How did you know that it was right for you?
I don't know. I mean, a shy person shouldn't be doing nursing. So I guess I'm not so.
But a shy person shouldn't be picking up Marines on the beach either.
He picked me up. Yes. I wasn't cruising. Yeah. But if I hadn't been a nurse, I know I would have been a great history teacher. So it's not a regret, but I could have found another fit.
Well, you've been teaching me since I've known you, so I'm grateful for that.
You've been a blast.
Thank you. That's kind of you to say. Because I know that there are a few moments in between those blasts that were probably less than glorious.
Was trying to figure out what another approach would be. And we got it.
So let's start moving toward kind of like a wrap up thought. I'm gonna springboard off that idea. Meg and I have a couple of wonderful kids. Based on what you've seen, what you know, what would you recommend, or what would you say to us to do to be good parents?
You're doing so well. I mean, you're getting them out there. They're not sitting in front of any screens all the time. Well, okay, you get them out on the skis, you let them play in the mud or wear a moss hat. You're open. Your kids come first, and it shows. You don't do the things that people in my head, like keep focusing on spelling tests and stuff. Just find the key to that child, and you do that. Cooper's the happiest little guy I've ever seen.
He is.
And we talked about Tate. I worry.
Yeah, I do too. What do you worry about?
Well, I've thought this for years. I just think he's in for a great big hurt. And I hope we're all around him when it happens. And he lets us know.
What do you think that is that's going to weigh on him?
The disappointment and the pain. He's the kind of kid that gets picked on as he gets bigger, but he's also he does talk. You can get him to share.
He'll be picked on for his soft heart.
Yeah, and he's so damn smart. Yeah, it's a big gift he has.
He has good friends.
I'm so glad.
He has good friends.
And he's a good friend. He is always looking to see how he can be helpful. His grandma loves that.
Let me go. You asked back what I would tell students.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what I would tell students. You don't have to be the A student to choose a very difficult career. You have to be just willing to put the time in. And that was it. I mean, it was just a matter of just wanting to be the best I could be in my field and spending the time in the lab and doing the experiments and use your imagination. And it was that got me through. I really enjoyed the different jobs I was doing and the things I was discovering. And when you're the person to see something for the first time that no one else has seen, it's a great feeling. So I discovered a few molecules. I discovered a few proteins. I discovered a adhesion site that no one had seen before. It's just nice to be, in the lab and doing these things. And in the lab, you're with all these people who are on the same plane as you are. They're all doing exactly the same type of work. So it was just a fun place to be. Even though everybody came in many different languages. That was the other thing. It was like a little UN. And so it was nice to have Japanese and Finns and a Vietnamese lady that was in lab too. That was really funny. So it was just fun to have all these people in the lab. So yeah, that's what you don't have to be the brightest kid in the class. Just want to pick the job you want to do and do it.
You make it sound so easy. But we know, I mean,
it was in the end.
But I mean, if we judge from your journey, it's not so easy. It's tangled.
So that was it.
Good. Well, stay quarantined.
Yeah.
Because we want more of the stories.
That would be, yes. the whole idea of this new vaccine is amazing. So hopefully that's going to work as well as they say it will, and we'll all be cured.
Get in line.
Get in line. Well, you notice that the first state they're going to give it to was Rhode Island, right?
No kidding.
Yes, Pfizer is going to try it in 4 states, and one of them is Texas, and one's Rhode Island. And I forget the other 2, but at least in Rhode Island, lots of people are close together.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like one of the most densely populated states.
As opposed to Texas.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was it.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna stop the recording now. And I imagine there'll be a couple more prompts, so hang in there. All right. Okay, so it was a long sample, but here are the takeaways that I would take from this rough cut. 1, interview one person at a time unless you have a way to compensate for that sound. 2, the follow-up to that is test your equipment beforehand. And 3, make sure that you have a few good questions and that you are ready to follow up on where they go. It's about your interviewer. Much like your writing, the interviewee is going to be driving the interest level on this. And that's it. Good luck. And let's talk more as we go.